In today's video, we're going to go over some fully remote jobs that you can get right now without a degree, and these jobs pay pretty well. We'll break down the salary ranges, job requirements, and some extra tips you can use to get a better chance of getting the job. So make sure to watch to the very end to not miss out on any of those tips. On today's number 15 spot, we have a content moderator. As a content moderator, you can make about $36,000 to $58,000 a year. This is going to be about $17 to $27 per hour. Now the job details are pretty simple. That's kind of why the pay is really low. Your job is to review and moderate user-generated content to ensure it complies with community guidelines and platform policies, especially laws. This could include removing any offensive or inappropriate posts made on social media platforms. It's not just social media too. This works for blogs, any news outlet, mostly social media, or anything that will need content moderation. Now the requirements are pretty simple. You just have to have a good attention to detail, or just common sense, like, hey, is this post against community guidelines? Does this post commit a crime? Should this be on a social media site? Now, to apply for this job, it is entry level at social media companies or third-party content moderation firms. So some companies in the industry are like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or Mod Squad if you want to go with a firm. So some of the pros is that it's in very high demand as content platforms grow. They need more employees, and especially content moderation as there's more users. And there's not really too much experience you need, so you have a pretty good chance of landing the job if you don't have that much experience. And it's very flexible. You can work remote or have different shift options, whatever works best for you. If you want to try this as like a little side job at night, or if you want to do part-time if you're in school, whatever you want, they should be pretty flexible. Some of the cons is it can involve reviewing very disturbing content, especially graphic content. So if you're not too good with that, this might not be the best position for you. It might ruin your mental health. It's very toxic probably to moderate all the bad content on a social media site, especially Twitter. Now, to get ahead, I would recommend to take a content moderation course, develop an understanding of different platform guidelines, and stay on top of the content policy changes, any laws that social media sites have to follow. Things like that to basically impress the interviewer would be very nice. Now on to number 14 spot, we have a pretty common one. This is actually the first thing I did out of high school. I still do it to this day. A customer service representative. Now realistically, you can make a lot depending on the company. On average, it's like $35,000 to $55,000 per year, or $16 to $26 per hour, depending on your level. The one thing I really like about call centers is a lot of people are in and out. So you can get promoted very fast. So a lot of people were kind of getting promotions very easily because call centers are very desperate. So that's one good thing you can do too. At my company, I know during the lockdown, right, like everyone was quitting, everyone was staying home, no one was working. So a lot of people got promoted to like supervisor or whatever within like a year of working at the company. I would say a call center job is like very stressful. There's a lot to do and a lot of like dumb stuff you have to do, but it's very good if you want to get in the door, get a very nice remote job that pays you decently. Now for this one, it just depends on the company. Mostly you're going to want to provide customer service to customers. Just be nice. Depending on what kind of industry you're in, if you're in tech like me, you might have to do troubleshooting, a lot of stuff like that. A lot of other companies are more simple. You just help them with like billing, company policies, send someone out. If you're like working like, let's say for an internet company, you send out a technician, just stuff like that. And there's different varieties of this. You can do over the phone, you can do chat, whatever fits for you. Now requirements for this are honestly, you don't need much. If you have call center experience previously, it's a lot easier. If it's your first call center job, it's difficult but not difficult, if that makes sense. It's hard to get in but not hard. So some requirements or skills I would say is just be very good at communication and problem solving. Have that urge to solve a problem and provide customer service, and just be a people person. Also, you want to be empathetic, not sympathetic. A lot of companies don't like sympathetic because they say like, oh, customers don't want you to feel sorry for them. They want you to be empathetic, like what they're going, some stupid stuff like that. That would make them really like you during an interview. They're probably going to ask you like some different things, like what's the time you had a problem? How did you solve it? So like an example I would use is I worked at a timeshare company previously, right? I was like the greeter, or the lead generator. I would kind of bring them in, and then there was people in the back that would fill out the forms. So one thing I would say was, one time there wasn't people in the back to fill out the forms, and I was the only one there. I had a huge line of people. So what I would do is quickly write down their information and just call them back to come fill out the paperwork. Some of the pros, again, it's high demand. People are in and out, so you're probably going to get the job easily. There's no education required. They might, require like a high school diploma or GED. Some of the cons is it's very repetitive, very stressful. You got to have thick skin. A lot of customers are going to be angry, so you got to, de-escalate them. They're gonna talk crap. They're gonna call you names. It's back to back. A lot of the times you're gonna get a lot of phone calls, like 60 to 70 a day maybe. It's stressful. Now, to get ahead again, just have good talking skills. Any customer support would be really good to put on your resume. Anything you did, I worked at a thrift store. I kind of put that as customer support. Or if you worked at Target, Walmart, that's customer support. You're helping customers. So just say that too. That's really good. You got to kind of be good with tech. You're going to be dealing with a lot of systems. I want to say good with tech. You're going to just have like 10 windows maybe you have to work on, 5 to 10 windows you have to work on. So you got to be good at multitasking and paying attention. On the number 13 spot, we have a social listing analyst. Now here you can make about $59,000 and $91,000 a year, which is about $28 to $43 an hour. Now this one is kind of like a marketing position. What you're going to be doing is analyzing social media conversation or trends or anything like that to collect, public data and insights for new trends coming up to help with marketing, branding, or communication strategies. Now, for this one, there's no degree required. You just got to be, very good with social media. That's one important thing. Now, a lot of these positions kind of suck to get into, but can be very beneficial if you grow your way in there. So you might want to start with like an internship or freelancing gigs or like a temporary worker gig. Something like that might get you in the door for this. Now the pros, it's very easy to get into, especially for a young audience, Gen Z, my generation. It's very simple for us to kind of get into this. We kind of grew up with social media, we understand it. Now there's high demand for social media expertise. Every company is now on social media, having interns run their Twitter or Instagram or their social media. Every company's on social media now. So it's in high demand because it can help with marketing and boosting revenue, which that's all companies care about. And of course, it's very flexible for remote because you're just going to be on social media, analyzing trends and, making data for them. So that's one thing you might want to be good at too is, like Google Sheets, Google Docs, Excel, stuff like that to like basically, analyze trends, build graphs for them and send it to them or present it to them. Now some cons, it can be stressful. You're going to be analyzing a huge amount of data volumes, which can be very confusing sometimes. And it may require odd hours to track trends in real time because trends, they come and go at different times. There's different things that can cause them, different people around the world. So you're going to be very confused, but once you kind of get the hang of it, it should be very fun. Now on today's number 12 spot, we have a sourcing specialist. Now a sourcing specialist can make about $60,000 to $89,000 a year, which this is about $28 to $42 per hour. In your job, you're going to be tracking down suppliers or companies to get the best deals on goods, services, or materials while managing their budget. Now for this one, you might have to have experience in supply chain management. That's pretty preferred for some of them, but it's not always necessary. Now one thing I would recommend to do is start with assistant buyer roles and build experience in specific industries that you want to work in. Some pros of this job is high demand across many different industries. There's a lot of opportunities to work remote, and having very good negotiation skills can lead to cost savings for the companies, which might make you some more money. Now some cons is experience in this field is sometimes required. Mostly it is required, but again, you can find some positions that don't require that, where it's very easy experience to get. It can also involve dealing with multiple suppliers and very tight timelines. Now, ways you can get ahead is gain a certificate in supply chain management or build vendor relationships through networking. That's a lot of ways you can do it too. And again, to gain some common knowledge on this, I always recommend before you buy a course or pay for anything, just start out with YouTube. See if you like it on YouTube, maybe like a free course on Udemy. And if you like it, then maybe you can invest some money and see what you want to do. Now on today's number 11 spot, we have a launch specialist. Now launch specialists make about $60,000 to $100,000 per year, which is about $28 to $48 per hour. You're basically going to help companies launch websites, products, or services by coordinating with clients, conducting audits, and ensuring customer satisfaction. You might need some experience in digital marketing or project management. That might be very helpful for you if you want to land one of these positions. Some pros in this is involvement in exciting new projects, potential for full-time or contract work. So again, if you don't want to do this full-time, you can maybe do part-time or contract work. That's really good too if you want to get experience, like hey, one project, one launch, and that's experience for you, and then you can maybe see if you like it and get a full-time position. And of course, it's very flexible to work from home, and there's a lot of flexibility in the work scheduling and hours. Some cons is there's a lot of pressure in this, especially during the launch or right near the launch, but it's very relaxed afterward. Now on today's number 10 spot, we have a medical science writer. Medical science writers can make about $68,000 to $115,000 per year. This is about $32 to $55 per hour. For this one, you're basically going to be writing and editing healthcare related content, including manuals, articles, and research summaries. Obviously, having experience in healthcare is definitely a plus, but it's not required. Mostly, you would have to have strong writing skills, research skills. Those are very needed. Now, for this one, you can definitely apply for medical writing positions in any healthcare company, but I would recommend to start with a research organization or even do your own research. That might be very impressive. Now, to get in this job, you can basically apply for a medical writing position in any healthcare company or any research organization. That's what I would recommend to start out with, is starting with a research organization. Now, some pros is it's definitely a high earning potential. You do get paid a lot for this. There's a very flexible work environment and it's mostly remote, and there's a huge growth in demand for healthcare related content. Now, some cons is you do have to have some knowledge on healthcare. Now, some ways you can get ahead to be impressive on your resume is join professional associations like American Medical Writers Association and complete the medical writing course they have, and that way you can have that base understanding of what you need. On today's number 9 spot, we have a channel sales representative. As a channel sales representative, you might be making about $84,000 to $146,000 per year, which is about $40 to $70 per hour, which is pretty good. You're basically going to be developing sales strategies, build relationships with resellers, and secure job details through channel. Obviously, having some sales experience is highly preferred. It's very good if you have that, especially in managing client relationships. Having very good communication and negotiation skills is very helpful for this as well. Now, there's a lot of ways to get this job, like a sales role in technology companies. Those are very common entry points for this career, like tech sales or whatever it might be. There's a lot of pros in this. There's high earning potentials, of course, especially with the commissions. And there's many job openings for this in many different industries. So if tech's not your thing, you can try another industry or see what you like. Now, some cons is sales isn't really for anyone. It can be high pressure. You might have to push a little bit, be very pushy and annoying. It requires constant learning and adaptation to new sales strategies, and you just got to make your clients happy and your boss happy. On to this number 8 spot, we have a digital production coordinator. A digital production coordinator can make about $45,000 to $70,000 per year, which is about $21 to $33 per hour. Now, for this one, you'd be managing production of digital content, including videos, social media posts, or advertising, many different things like that, often handling schedulings and budgets. Now, requirements for this aren't really too much. You would just basically have to have really good organization skills, time management skills, some experience in digital production or social media management would be very helpful. The pros for this is there's high demand for this job due to the rise of social media. There's many different opportunities to work with creative content, and you can definitely work remote with this position. Some cons is it can be stressful to deal with the deadlines and have to manage everyone's time. You know, some people under you might not do their job, so then you're kind of late on turning something in, so you gotta make something work, and you're going to be dealing with large workloads. You're also going to be working with multiple projects at once, managing multiple different peoples at once, trying to get all the projects together, everything needed, so it can be very stressful. Now, ways you can kind of get ahead is learn project management tools like Monday.com and practice managing small content projects to build up your portfolio. On the number 7 spot, we have one I really like, a claims reviewer. Now, claims reviewers make about $47,000 to $75,000 per year, which is about $22 to $36 per hour. In this job, you're basically going to be evaluating insurance claims to ensure that they are fair and processed properly. You're going to be determining liability, investigating evidence, seeing if they work with the policy. Now, my uncle actually does this. It doesn't require any degree. On-the-job training is definitely provided, so they train you on the job. Maybe they'll fly you out to like a different state. There's a lot of pros again with this, no college degree. It's very easy to get into, and you don't need that much skills for this job. Now, some cons is it can be very repetitive work, which, to be honest, I would take that con over not knowing what to do. Like, would you rather do the same thing 10 times or do one new thing every time, but you don't know what you're doing and you're put on the spot, right? Like, obviously, if you have a comfortable job where you know what you're doing and you just show up to work and you kind of know it all, it's very boring, but at least that way it's comfortable. It does require a lot of attention to detail when reviewing claims, a lot of paperwork, a lot of communication, but in the end, it's not too bad. Now, ways to get ahead is obviously get your license or get any certifications in insurance claims and practice analyzing claims for accuracy. Again, for this, you can kind of go on any course and get that, or look into YouTube first, see if you like it. But a lot of companies will train you on the job. On to this number 6 spot, we have a narrator for audiobooks. Now, being a narrator for audiobooks, you can make about $55,000 to $101,000 per year, which is about $26 to $48 per hour, which is pretty cool. This job is basically pretty easy. You're going to provide voice narration for audiobooks, documentaries, commercials, or even educational material. Now, some requirements for these jobs would be a clear speaking voice, good diction, and acting skills are very beneficial. Now, some ways to get in this job are start by auditioning for audiobook platforms or offering a voiceover service as a freelancer. That's one where you can literally get started right now today. Go on Fiverr or Upwork and apply for the jobs, or make a gig on Fiverr, apply for some jobs on Upwork to do voice narration. That's always something people are looking for. Some pros, it's a very flexible work environment. If you're a freelancer, you can make your own hours. Just do whatever you want to do on your own time. You can work on some very diverse projects too, which is pretty cool, and there's no degree required. Some cons is it requires a clear voice and good delivery, so you got to have a nice microphone, be very, good at reading and changing your tone like you're telling a story. And you have to spend hours reading, so it's a long time spent reading out loud. You can't stutter, can't mess up, have to have the right speed and pitch and everything. Now, ways to get ahead on this too is just build a demo reel showcasing your narration skills, or taking a course in voice acting, stuff like that. Even if you start as a freelancer, you can definitely put that on your resume. Maybe some big time companies will hire you. I know some big time companies will hire someone off Fiverr, like a freelancer, for like a one-time project. On to number 5 spot, we have a benefits specialist. So the estimated salary is about $47,000 to $70,000 per year, which is about $22 to $33 per hour. Now, for this job, you're basically going to be managing employee benefits programs like their health insurance, retirement plans, other packages a company will have for their employees. So ways to get this job is maybe start out with HR and then move your way up there, or maybe take some courses on HR, get some certifications, stuff like that. That way you can move your way up to a benefits specialist. Pros to this job is this high demand for HR and benefits roles. This is something most companies do, especially big companies. This can easily transition into other positions that you want to grow into. You're going to work in a people-oriented environment, so if you're a people person, you can kind of work with a lot of people. Now, a lot of companies do kind of offer this remotely too, so you can maybe get it remote if you want, or show up to an office, whatever you prefer. Some cons, but I wouldn't really call them cons, it's just common sense. It kind of requires knowledge of regulations around benefits, and it can be, very annoying, and there's a lot of administrative tasks. But in the end, you can learn all those things. Like, obviously, you got to learn the laws and regulations around the benefits, which you can do that on YouTube for free, or like anything. And most companies will probably train you as well with their policies. I recommend to take an HR certification course. That way you can kind of learn a little bit and even get certified. And this can definitely help you land the position. On news number 4 spot, we have a public affairs associate. The estimated salary is about $60,000 to $99,000 per year, which is about $28 to $47 per hour. Now, for this job, you're basically going to craft public relations strategies to manage communications with stakeholders and shape the company's public image. Now, for this job, a bachelor's degree is preferred but not always required. Strong writing and communication skills are definitely really good for this position too. Now, ways to get this job is apply for a PR assistant or associate roles in public relations or communication departments. Some companies in this industry are like APCO Worldwide, Zeno Group, Allison Plus Partners. Pros is this high demand for PR professionals. A lot of people, especially with the rise of social media, need PR professionals. There's opportunity to shape the public image for companies, which is a pretty fun job. It's pretty cool, and there's definitely remote work opportunities. Some cons requires managing public perceptions, which can be stressful, especially if the company's under a lot of heat or controversy. This often needs strong crisis management skills, like if something gets exposed about the company and they're getting attacked on social media, you got to be quick with what to do. Ways to get ahead is I would recommend to build a PR portfolio to showcase your work. You can also join public relations organizations for networking. On to number 3 spot, we have a patient safety specialist. As a patient safety specialist, you can make about $70,000 to $115,000 per year, which is about $33 to $55 per hour. In this position, you would basically ensure patient safety in healthcare settings by analyzing incidents and implementing safety programs. Some experience in healthcare, having a background in healthcare is preferred, but of course not always required. And some college or a college degree can help with this, but again, it might not always be required for some companies. You can apply for a safety coordinator or healthcare administration role as well. Some companies in this industry are like Cleveland Clinic or HCA Healthcare. Some pros about this job that I like is you have an important role in improving patient outcomes. There's a growing demand for this in healthcare, and of course there's always the possibility to work remote for administrative tasks. Now, the cons is it can be very stressful for those who are not used to handling medical incidents. It can be very sad sometimes and depressing. And it does require a healthcare background for most companies, majority of them. You might get lucky and find one or two, but most of them do require a healthcare background. So maybe you want to start out as like a receptionist or something like that. Some ways you can get ahead is, of course, take like a healthcare administrative or safety management course and gain experience in patient safety initiatives. On to number 2, so we have a project coordinator assistant. As a project coordinator assistant, you can make about $46,000 to $67,000 per year, which is pretty good. That's about $22 to $32 per hour. You basically are the assistant for a project coordinator, which is a very stressful job. You help support and streamline the coordination of artistic and cultural projects, managing scheduling, budgets, communication, everything like that. Requirements are pretty simple, just some organization skills, attention to detail, and an interest in arts or culture can definitely help you land the position. Ways to get this position is apply for assistant roles in art organization or nonprofits, maybe do some volunteer work too, which is really good. Companies in this industry like the Art Institute of Chicago or Lincoln Center, there's so many different pros to this company. Just a few of them is opportunity to grow in a creative field. There's no degree required at all, and you can work on a huge amounts of different projects. Some cons is it can be very hard to get your first job in the art field, and it can be very underpaying. So again, I would recommend to maybe do some volunteer work to get that experience and network too. So there's so many different ways to get in this that I wouldn't stress too much about that if this is something you really want to do. On to number 1, so we have a membership specialist, which makes about $43,000 to $66,000 per year, which is about $20 to $31 per hour. Now in this job, you basically promote organizational membership, drive membership sales, and ensure membership satisfaction. So kind of like a sales position, but for a membership, like a gym membership. Now there's no degree required for this, there's no really certifications required, but having some sales or customer service skills can definitely help you land this position. You can apply to companies with subscription services or membership programs like a gym, Hulu, Netflix, some other companies in the industries like Patreon, AAA, companies like that. Some pros is there's a growing demand for membership related roles. I feel like nowadays every company is moving to membership sales and they just want to sell memberships and subscriptions. And it's very easy to get into without prior experience, and there's a lot of different opportunities to work remote. Some cons is it can involve repetitive sales tasks, like doing the same thing over and over again, the same different bundles, same memberships. And you have to be really good at managing the relationship with a member. You gotta be so nice to them, even if they're so mean to you. Again, this is a customer service position and sales. Ways to get ahead is develop customer service and relationship building skills through online courses, any job experience. But again, if this is like your first job, maybe take like a communications course, get a communication certification, things like that, and try to network within organizations that offer memberships too. But that's it for today's list on 15 entry-level remote jobs you can get right now without a college degree. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and did help you guys out. If you have any experience in these positions, let us know in the comments down below your story on it. And if you're thinking of applying to any of these, let us know in the comments down below, so maybe someone who has experience in one field sees you want to go in there, he can give you some tips. That's going to wrap it up for today's video on 15 entry-level jobs that you can get right now without a degree.